So right now, we are in the fourth gate. Last week, and the week before, we spoke about the first and the second doors inside the fourth gate, because like we explained, these 7 gates of tefillot are actually built somewhat in the way of, like, imagine a building. So if you take a building that has 7 flights, the 7 flights, if you want to go to the fourth floor, you have to go from the first to the second to the third to the fourth, same thing. Now, there are some floors that have multiple doors. Each door takes you to a different office. Each office can be used for a different purpose. Same thing up there in Shammai. 7 gates, 7 stories. Each story has a different amount of rooms and a different amount of doors and a different amount of purposes. So like we mentioned, Rabotai, 2 weeks ago, the fourth gate of Zechut is actually a gate of what? It is a gate of Torah. It is a gate which is based, for the most part, exclusively for judgment of Torah and for Jews, whether it's bracha, whether it's a Parasha that the Jews need a lot, whether it's finding one zivug, everything gets judged in the fourth gate. But again, judgment, with a few things that are excluded, such as things that are attached to mazal, as we explained in the past. Now we are actually in the third door out of 4. So today, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to finish the third door and start the fourth door. I doubt we'll be able to finish the fourth door. If so, Baruch Hashem. If not, Baruch Hashem, we'll wait at next week where we'll continue. And it's beautiful, this fourth door. So we're going to start with the third door. So in the third door, Rabotai, it actually continues on with the exact theme that we left off last week. Last week, we said that the second door of this floor, of this gate of judgment, is the entry where all merit is brought in and put into the account of judgment. Meaning, when a person is judged, on one side they put merit, mitzvot, and on the other side they put what? Averot. So last week we spoke about all the merit that comes in. This week we're going to speak about what? Averot. We're going to speak about the averot that are brought in to bet din of Torah in order for a judgment, or in order for a decision to be made. Because I don't like the word judgment. Judgment, we attach it always to negative. But when we speak about bet din ha'elyon of Torah, it's more about a decision being made. Which a decision could be, you could be decided to be wealthy, you could decide to be healthy, you could decide to be anything in the world, or also opposite. So it's a decision to be made. Now, the main angel that stands on this door, his name is Gadiel. And his job is he comes to a person and he searches for all the bad deeds, chas v'shalom, for all the sins, for all the bad thoughts, for all the bad actions, and he takes them and he brings them into the fourth door, which is the last one, and he puts them on the scale. And he's actually the one that essentially scans a person for his sins and puts them all into account and brings them up to bet din, into this courtroom that we spoke about 2 weeks ago with the 72 angels and etc. You know, a lot of times when we speak about subjects like this that directly touch on HaKadosh Baruch Hu counting sins, or HaKadosh Baruch Hu making a decision upon one's good deeds or upon one's bad deeds especially, a lot of people come up with this assumption, with this idea, that actually HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees it like a game, in the sense of counting our sins and then punishing us directly. Or sometimes we even have people that say, it's as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu has joy in seeing us when we fall, getting punished. Where for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, counting our sins is easy. It's like nothing to him. He takes it with a light heart, he puts them into account, and he punishes us with no rachmanut, with no mercy on the subject that fell and did actually something bad. So this Rabotai, where many people are completely wrong, and this assumption is false completely. And we can see this Rabotai in a few examples that I would love to give, just to show us how HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he sees where a person sins, not only that he's not happy that now he has to do something, or in the most cases he tries to not pay the price for one's sins, meaning he tries in most cases to cancel the effect of one's sins, but how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is actually sad, and he cannot stand the image, and he cannot stand the mar'eh, the reality of seeing chas v'shalom one of his kids that they're going against his will. And this Abotay is actually a Gemara that we may mention in the past, not in the Shurim of the Zohar, but in maybe other Shurim, in Masechet Psachim, that brings a story with the prophet Hoshaya, where it says there that at his generation, Bnei Israel left the Torah and Mitzvot. They were not keeping Shabbat, they were not keeping Milah, they were not keeping Kashrut, they were doing idol worship, they were killing one another, they completely forgot HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This prophet came to Hashem, came to Bnei Israel, tried to bring them back to Tshuva, tried to make Hashem to prove that in there HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists and we cannot continue this path of wrongdoings. But everything that he did, Bnei Israel simply did not accept his words of tochecha, of rebuke, and they continued in the wrong path. Eventually this prophet got tired. And he said, Baka, enough with me trying to bring Bnei Israel back to Tshuva when they're really not wanting to listen to me, and they have no interest. So he went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Banecha chatu. Your sons sinned. They're lost. They're gone. The Gemara says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at this prophet and said, you're calling them my sons? They're your sons. They're the sons of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. If you want to say that they sinned, say my sons and the sons of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov sinned. Because you're a prophet. The prophet at that time was like the big Rabbanim. As a big Rab, you are responsible, especially when imagine the chief rabbi, chief prophet. You're responsible on your nation as if they're your own kids. So don't say my kids, say your kids as well. So this prophet looked at HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, you know what, okay, my kids, they sinned. But Bnei Israel, they're a lost tribe. They're a lost nation. Enough of trying to bring them back to Tshuva. You see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I tried rebuking them. I tried convincing them to go back to Torah Mitzvah. I tried explaining to them that what they're doing is wrong. They're ignoring everything. Nothing that I'm doing is successful. So what did the prophet say? The prophet told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, put Bnei Israel in the side, go find yourself a new nation, and give the Torah to a different nation that will actually respect you and will actually keep the Torah and Mitzvot. The Gemara said that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard this, he said, you know, that's a good proposal. But before I do so, I want you to do a very important mitzvah for me. So the prophet, talking face to Hashem, he said, okay, what is the mitzvah? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the prophet, I want you to go to the main lady in the city, which is the bad lady, the lady that, not kosher, we'll call it like that, the lady that Chas v'Shalom, I don't even know how to explain without, when a bit knesset, Hashem Erachem, Rabotai. We're going to keep it like that, and I'm sure whoever didn't understand, Baruch Hashem, you're a tzaddik. We'll say it like that. So in any case, Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, go to that lady, the main lady, that is the biggest Rasha'a in the city, and I want you to marry her. And after you marry her, I want you to bring kids with her. So the prophet said, look, the mouth that said Asur is also the mouth that could say Mutar. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you're not allowed to marry a woman like that, Goya, etc., then also HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if he tells you that it is allowed, you can do it. So he went, took that lady, and got married to her. And the Gemara said he had 10, after 10 years, he had 10 kids with her. Full family. After 10 years, HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to that prophet and said, no, how is everything? Did you keep my mitzvah? So he said, you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I kept the mitzvah word for word what you told me. I took that lady, I had kids with her, I married her already for over 10 years. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell him? He said, no problem. Now get up, tell the woman and your 10 kids to get out of the house and ban them and kick them out of your presence. So the prophet said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can't do this. They're my kids. How can I get up and send my kids to the street to be like a homeless? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, but they're the sons of a lady which is dirty. How can you keep your kids in your home with knowing that Chas v'Shalom, they're pasul, they're unpure? So what did the prophet say? The prophet said, look, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they are my kids. I cannot just send them out to abandon them like that. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, look, my kids, Bnei Israel, when they did a few sins, my kids, the sons of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, when they fell a little bit in the impurity, you used that impurity as what? as a grasp to say, get rid of them. Find yourself a new nation. But your kids, when you don't even know if they're your kids before, they could be someone else's kids. You're still holding on to the fact that they're your kids, you're not willing to get rid of them. That it teaches us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he cannot stand the sight of not only Bnei Israel's sin, but not in an anger way, in a way of sadness, but even more so. He does not like when those remind him of the sins of his kids. Where HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot see the sight of Bnei Israel sinning and just take it lightheartedly and just send out a punishment with no hard feelings. It's also said, Rabotai, in many midrashim, and this is a story that's actually pieced up by a few midrashim. Because a lot of times you have in the midrash, or even in the pshat, where there are stories that are brought in the Zohar Kadosh, but they're brought in 5-6 different pieces. That it tells you a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. And you have to bring them all together to fill one story, or you go to the Zohar and you find it all complete in some places. But this is where Rabotai, it says about moments before the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. Where it says Rabotai that before HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Beit HaMikdash, and we all know the destruction, and we all read Megillat Eicha, which Megillat Eicha Rabotai is a Megillah that at some point, once a year, everyone needs to read it. If it's not in Tisha B'Av, if you miss it this Tisha B'Av, read it again. Just to understand really what we're missing out every single day with the lack of Beit HaMikdash. The Zohar Kadosh says, and like I said, you can find this in some midrashim, but in pieces, that in a few moments before HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Beit HaMikdash and sent Bnei Israel out in exile, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was sitting down in his throne and he was crying from tears from the fact that right now, in a few moments, he's going to have to simply take his kids, kick them out of his home, and destroy Beit HaMikdash and unfortunately kill many of his kids. And it said that he was crying and crying and crying just from the thought that in a few minutes that action will be put into place. So it says, the Malach, the angel Matetron, which was a man at some point, we all know the story, was Chanoch, when he saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu crying on his chair, he couldn't handle the sight. He said, how could Melech Malchei Melachim, the king of all kings, sit here and cry over what? Over a few stones that are going to be destroyed? Over a few people, flesh and blood, who's anyway sinned? So he came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm demanding from you to stop crying. It is not of your respect to cry over pieces of meat like that who sinned anyways. The Zohar Kadosh says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Matet, he said, get out of here. Go. He kicked him, pushed him away. A few moments later, Matet returned. He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I will not stop until I see you stop crying. It's not right. I will not handle the sight of you crying and continue on with our regular works. It said that Matet, he came back and repeated this act of pushing HaKadosh Baruch Hu to stop crying several times until HaKadosh Baruch Hu got up and he screamed at Matet. He said, if you don't let me to cry over my kids, even though they sinned, even though they did bad, I'm going to go to a place where you have no entry. And if a place like that doesn't exist, I will create a place where you cannot enter just in order to cry over my kids, even though you said that they sinned, even though you said that they deserve what is coming for them. We see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rabotai, when he sees that one falls, he cries over it. He has no will to chas v'shalom take a person's sins and suddenly make judgment and hit a person for one's wrongdoing. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to a place where he needs to punish somebody, it's with very, very heavy heart. So some could say, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Melech, king of all kings, and he created the world, at that time when he was crying over the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, where he couldn't cancel the decree, couldn't just get up and say, you know what, let me cancel it, let me say Bnei Israel, I'm so sad. Instead of, I'm about to send now the order to destroy Beit HaMikdash. Stop it. Why couldn't he stop it? So the answer to that Rabotai is something simple. Actually, HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't stop it. And the reason for that Rabotai is simple. The reason for that is something that we explained in the past, that there are two different types of sins that exist in the world. One type of sin, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu has hold on, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu could just simply forget it and move on. And another type of sin, where it's not even in Hashem's capability to move on. What sin are we talking about? Ben Adam leben Chavero. Averot sheben Adam lemakom, sins that are between a person and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can forget, move on. But sins that are between you and your fellow, you and your friend, Hashem cannot forgive you for something that you did to somebody else. Only that somebody else could forgive you and then you could move on. As we explained Rabotai in the past, Bet HaMikdash was destroyed for what reason? It was destroyed for what, Rabotai? Sinat Chinam. Hatred between the Jews. Hatred between one and his friend, one and his brother. Where even if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to save Bnei Israel, it was not in his power. Now even we can go more so. Maybe we could even learn that the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed his building and destroyed his home, well, like I said, if you want truly to feel the destruction of Bet HaMikdash, you read the Zohar Kadosh on Parasha Techa, on Megillat Techa. You cannot help yourself but cry. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu was singing and he was crying, it was not songs of joy, it was songs of sadness. While he saw his own building, his own home be destroyed. It's something about that. Everyone needs to read it at some point. It's B'ezrat Hashem, before Tisha B'Av, we're going to do everything B'ezrat Hashem. Something that's incredible. But you know, Abotai, to go as far as to say actually, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Bet HaMikdash was actually the biggest kindness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have done. Where can we learn this? We can learn from this, from one of the judgments that Shlomo HaMelech did. Where it said, Rabotai, at one time, Shlomo HaMelech was approached, because Shlomo HaMelech was king, and the king, what does he do? The king actually also performs Bet Din. The king performs court, whenever court is needed. So it said at one time, two women came in front of Shlomo HaMelech, and they told Shlomo HaMelech, both of them were claiming that a little boy, a little kid, belongs to her. One said, this is my son. The other one said, no, this is my son. And like that they fought and they argued, whose son, who does this boy belong to? So it says Shlomo HaMelech, when he heard the story, he said, look, the boy looks like both ladies. What do I do? There's no DNA test like today where you can tell exactly if he belongs to her or belongs to who. So what did Shlomo HaMelech do? He said, I have an idea. Let's take a sword, let's cut the kid in half. You take half, and you take half. Right away, one of the women got up and said, no, I can't. The kid's not mine, tell her to keep the kid. So what did Shlomo HaMelech say? Shlomo HaMelech said, okay, she's the mother. Why is she the mother? Because the fact that she was able to say, you know what, she was not able to see her son suffer, so she rather to push him away, to send him far away, to never see him again, but to know that her son will not be harmed, that's a true mother. That is just as a conclusion to what we just said, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with the destruction of Bet HaMikdash. He sent his kids away, but he sent his kids away knowing that the judgment was poured on his bricks and on his own home and in his own place where he sits down in this world, and not Chas v'Shalom on his kids, or not Chas v'Shalom on his chosen nation. So that is a little understanding of how far HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually went in order to be kind upon Bnei Israel when he was put in a situation where he couldn't be kind because the sin didn't belong to him. But Rabotai, we can see also another instance, what the Zohar Kadosh says, and I think this is a beautiful instance, with Adam HaRishon. That we see when a person is in a situation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself could forgive, and not something that is above HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ability to forgive, because like we said, it's not HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you're forgiving, it's the man that you hurt. But when it's a situation that it's between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes above and beyond in order for a person to pay as least amount as possible as Chas v'Shalom harm. And you see Rabotai in a drastic way with Adam HaRishon. Whereas we all know Rabotai, Adam HaRishon was created when? Sixth day. When was he created? Zohar Kadosh says right before Shabbat started. So he was born on Yom Shishi, on Friday. It says Rabotai, black and white in the Torah, from when the day, if Chas v'Shalom you will sin with the tree of knowledge, that will be the day that what? That will be the day that you die. Meaning any day he's going to sin, that day he's going to die. It says Rabotai, that what did Adam HaRishon do? In the first day that he was created, he sinned. The moment that he sinned, he was kicked out from Gan Eden. He was kicked out from paradise and he was thrown down to the world. He said that when he was thrown down to the world, he was waiting and counting the seconds and the minutes before HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to kill him. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made us promise that the day he will sin, that will be the day that he's going to pass away. So if he sinned on Friday, what day will he pass away? Friday. Surprisingly, it says that Adam HaRishon died in that same day that he was born. But how many years did he live? 930 years. Which he was supposed to live 1,000, he gave 70 to Shlomo. How is that possible? How can you be born, sin, and die in the same day and live 930 years? So the Zohar is something simple. It said that when Adam HaRishon was kicked out of Gan Eden, which is like we explained about in the past what Adam HaRishon's sin was. It was a terrible sin. Adam HaRishon prayed HaKadosh Baruch Hu for mercy, and he did teshuvah. The moment he did teshuvah, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He said, I cannot punish my son when really he wants to do good. So unfortunately, he already gave permission to the Yetzer Hara. He already gave the power to Yetzer Hara to control life. But the one thing that I could control is I'm going to give him not one day of his life, but one day of what? One day of what? One day of my life. But like I would say about in Mefashim and the Midrashim, that every single day for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his time is how many years for our time? 1,000 years. Where HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us one day, which is 1,000 years for Adam HaRishon, just in order to sweeten the punishment that he took upon himself as much as possible. So we see, Abotai, that when we talk about sins, where sin is put into an account, where sin is put into an equation, we have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has zero pleasure and zero joy, and is sad when he sees such a thing coming to a reality. Where there's no happiness being put into place where this angel starts to count the sins of a person, Chas v'Shalom. So Abotai, just before we continue, it's important to say, the most important thing that we all have to do on a daily basis is to do teshuvah. Teshuvah, Abotai, is something that a person must do every single day. What is teshuvah, like we explained last week? Teshuvah is the will, the ratzon of doing good, the ratzon of being complete. Once we have the ratzon of being complete, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take us to where we have to be, and we will not be judged, Chas v'Shalom, as sinners. We will be judged as people that are doing all that they can. Just Yetzer Hara is tough and Yetzer Hara is strong. Just to be clear. The Zohar Kadosh says, this angel Gadiel is not an angel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu likes at all. I was thinking, I said, what type of analogy I can give about this angel Gadiel? I said, it's like a person's accountant. Your accountant, what does he do for you? He counts how much tax you have to pay. He tells you how much tax you have to pay. Do you like him? No, you don't like him at all. Depending what type of accountant you have. If you have a good accountant that saves you money, you love him. But if it's an accountant that only collects what you owe, are you going to love him? You're not going to love him. You're going to keep him, but you're not going to love him. So it's exactly what the angel Gadiel is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where it says, AT RABBI, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take the angel Gadiel and he's going to break him and hit him for the fact that he upset him every single day by bringing sins into the equation. Where HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have to clean the angel Gadiel for all his anger that he caused them throughout all the years of the creation. So we see really, Rabotai, how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot stand when he sees one, I wouldn't say being happy, but one acting with sin, with no heart, meaning doing it like a job, easy. And that is where, Rabotai, the Zohar Kadosh actually learns what the pasuk in the Tehillim says, Apach nishbar ve'anachnu nimlatnu. What does that mean? It means Apach nishbar. Apach is like the cup. It's like the kili. Apach. It's like a can. A can. Apach. Apach nishbar. The can was broken. Ve'anachnu nimlatnu. What's this pach? What's this? This vessel. Waste basket. Where we use pach a lot, an example that everyone will be able to know is in Chanukah. We say pach hashemen. Well, pach hashemen was the can where the jar of where the oil was kept. So what's this pasuk? The can will be destroyed, and we will run away. We will limalet. Limalet is a word that is used on what? Limalet is like a word that is prisoner. That shenimlat. It's like escape. So the can will be broken, we will escape. What does that mean? So Rabbi Moshe Pinto brings it in the explanation on the words of the Zohar Kadosh, which is something amazing. So if you take the word Gadiel, that angel, it's gematria of what? It's gematria of what? No? 48. 48, that is gematria. Ramak says everything that comes mi Gadiel is bad. Because all the job that mi Gadiel, everything that comes from Gadiel is bad. If you add the mem that comes from mi Gadiel, so mem is how much? 40. 40 plus 48 is how much? 88. What is 88 in letters? Pach. A pach nishbar, v'anachu nimlatnu. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that level, will take his Gadiel, and he will break him and hit him for the fact that he went and he collected all the sins of a person and brought them into equation. You can see, Rabotai, really, what type of kindness HaKadosh Baruch Hu has on us, and how HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates to see one of us fall and always wants us to be judged and to be blessed rightfully and not chas v'shalom ever to be accounted for as sin. Which is essentially, Rabotai, exact opposite what many people perceive to be the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu conducts his accounting. So we learn from that, Rabotai, that sin, more than being a part of judgment, truly brings sadness upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Rabotai, after all the good that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses us every single day, with the fact that we're able to drink and eat and be healthy and breathe, to take someone that gives us everything in our world and to make him sad and to hurt him like that, I think that's enough, Rabotai, for us to have in thought, to avoid always, chas v'shalom, bringing upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu something bad. Rabotai, when somebody does us good, our parents, a friend that really helped us in time of need, we'll do everything to make sure that we never hurt them or we never offend them, chas v'shalom. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's a tenfold how much we have to be zahir, we have to be careful, and never chas v'shalom bringing upon him pain. So that, Rabotai, was the third door. It's a short door, not too much, but I think, Rabotai, a lot of lesson to be held. Now, Rabotai, fourth door. Let's start B'at Hashem, and next week we're going to finish it. Amen Kinyatza. The fourth door, like all doors, has what? Angel. Has an angel. But this angel, I'm not able to tell you his name. The name exists. Whoever would like to see it in the Ramak, black and white, Kaf Dalet, Dalet, Kaf Dalet, Dalet. You'll find it there. We're not allowed to mention his name. Some angels are names that we could mention out loud. Some angels we should not mention out at all. So whoever would like to see what his name is called, I wouldn't advise it. But if you want to, I gave you the Mareh Mekomot to go b'simcha and to see where you can find it there. Now this gate, Rabotai, is a very interesting gate. I want to speak just and touch only on one subject, because I think it's a very interesting subject, and it comes with a beautiful segula, a beautiful thing for action, as well as answers something that connects to this week's Parasha, or something that we see that comes on very, very constantly amongst the Torah. So tell Rabotai, this gate, this door, the fourth door of the fourth floor, the fourth gate, is actually used as sometimes a holding room, like a quarantine room. A quarantine room for what? A quarantine room for our she'elot and bakashot. Now what does this mean? Now, but a lot of times we confuse between two things, and we perceive and we think of them to be as actually one, but actually two different things. What am I referring to? I'm referring to tefillot and bakashot. So a lot of the times when we think about one asking from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we say that's tefillah. But actually that's not tefillah. Tefillah is shacharit, mincha, arvit. Tefillah is one praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tefillah is one singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with no reason at all. Meaning you're just singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like we said, that's one of the most strong forms of tefillah. Tefillah is one doing something for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and strengthening his connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is tefillah. Bakasha, which is like request, or in this Zohar and in this Amak, it refers to it as she'ela, which is also bakasha, is actually what? A request. So when one is requesting HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me parnasa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this man that's sick, give him refuah. That is a bakasha. Zohar HaKadosh says, every single bakasha that goes up to Shamayim needs to sit in a quarantine area. Where it said that this angel, the name that we're not allowed to mention, takes that bakasha, that prayer if you would like to call it, and he puts it in this fourth door, and he lets this bakasha, this request, sit for how long? For 40 days. And that prayer for 40 days is sat and closely watched by two angels. It's closely watched by Zechut El, also known as Zechut, before the light comes into him, Zechut El, like we said, the main angel, or who? Tumiel, the angel which is created by Limud Torah, we spoke about also in the first shiur. And it says for 40 days, this request, it's slowly, very, very closely watched, not only on the prayer, but on the deeds of a person down there. After 40 days, the angel Tumiel takes tefillah with Zechut El, and it brings them to the first Bet Din, that courtroom that we spoke about in the first Shurim, with the 70 angels, with the two in the middle, and the Enei Hashem, that whole shiur. He brings that bakasha to Bet Din Shel Mala, and Bet Din Shel Mala, they do the judgment whether or not the prayer will be, or the request will be granted, or the request will be not granted. Rabotai, just as a base, we see that sometimes when we ask for HaKadosh Baruch Hu things, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will come automatically. Minimum 40 days it needs to sit in quarantine. But actually, Rabotai, we learned something amazing that answers so many things in our Torah Kedusha. We learn from here, Rabotai, that actually the number 40 is the amount of time, 40 days needed, in order for reparation, or in order for tikkun to be brought down to the world. Where if a person wants to change a piece of his reality, or to change something, or to glorify something, or to purify something, 40 days is a number which is needed. Where our tefillah, or our bakasha, our request, singular, sits for 40 days, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the opportunity to strengthen it, and strengthen it, and strengthen it, in order that in the end of the 40 days, it will be repaired enough in order for it to come to a reality. Where do we see Rabotai 40? We see Rabotai 40 all around our Torah. We can learn Rabotai if we go a little bit back with Noach. Where at the time of Noach, the world was impure. The world sinned. It said Rabotai that even the ground, the dirt, started to sin just with the influence of man. Well, what was the ground do? It said the ground, at the time, people would hide their money where? In the ground. Because they didn't have fancy homes and closets and safes. So at the time, where you hide your money or gold? In the ground. The Midrashim say that the ground would take people's money and hide them and put them in other people's hiding places. Meaning it would transfer money from one place to the other, and just as for fun. The ground started to sin. So when the ground started to sin, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu need to do? You need to clean it. How do you clean something which is dirty? With water. So how long was the Mabul? 40 days. Where 40 days was necessary, was needed, in order to purify, in order to repair something which was broken. We see Rabotai, the same thing in this week's Parasha. This week's Parasha, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Shamayim in order to bring down the Torah. How long did he go up? 40 days. Why 40 days? Because 40 days was the amount of time necessary in order to repair even himself, to bring down the Torah Kedusha. Even more so. Bnei Israel, before they went into Kriyat Yam, the tearing of the sea, forget about the 40 years, maybe you can say the 40 years also. But Kriyat Yam Suf, before Kriyat Yam Suf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Bnei Israel walk in the desert for how long? 40 days. In order to allow them time to purify, to clean themselves. Or even more. We read on Yom Kippur, the Haftarah of who? Rabbi Liran, אתה יודע. Yom Kippur and Mincha, we read the Haftarah of who? Of Yonah. Yonah was a prophet, where it said that he ran away because he couldn't bring Bnei Israel back with Tshuva. What was Yonah begging for Bnei Israel to do? Do prayers and do fasts for how many days? For 40 days. Where in a 40-day count, a person can repair something that is broken. Between Rosh Chodesh Elul, when we start Selichot, until Yom Kippur, how long do we have? 40 days. Why 40 days? In order to completely give us enough time to repair ourselves, to clean ourselves, in order that we will all be forgiven on Yom Kippur. I'm even going to go another step forward. How much amount of water is needed in a mikveh in order to purify somebody? 40 se'ah, 40 se'ah. We see, Abutai, 40 is the magic number in order for a person to repair something. So, Abutai, if a person wants to change a piece of his reality and truly bring his request or his prayer to a point where it is repaired and complete, what should he do? He should use that trick of strengthening his prayer and strengthening his request for 40 days in a row. And this is where, Abutai, you see so many segulot that attach to the 40 days of one allowing himself the 40 days to pray for a single request in order for it to come to a reality. You know, Abutai, something, I'm going to just mention a few, something that maybe I haven't mentioned in the past, but something that is truly close to me. It's very, very important to me, and I would love to share it with everyone. And I've done it myself in the past many, many times. And that Abutai is actually a segula that my grandfather, Rabbi Moshe Pinto, put in place. Where before my grandfather passed away, he made a swear to my father, he made a swear to all his kids. Where he said, any person that will do the tefillah, the prayer of Tehillim 90, Tehillim Tzadik, for 40 days in a row, and he asks for one wish, he swore to his kids, my father, that he will make sure that that wish comes to a completion. That if a person reads the Mizmor, which many of the biggest Mikubalim saw the Mizmor of Tefillah Moshe, it's actually ironically called Tefillah Moshe. And my grandfather's name was Rabbi Moshe. Maybe it has something to do, but I don't know. So in any case, Baba Saleh said openly many times that Perik Tzadik, Tefillah Moshe, was his favorite Tefillah. The Perik of Tzadik has secrets which are above our understanding even. Rabbi Moshe always said, if a person wants to achieve something in his life, do 40 days of Tefillah Moshe and mention the swear that I'm putting in place. That whoever does it, and he does it in my name, Rabbi Moshe Pinto's name, whatever request he makes, I will make sure it happens. I will make sure it comes to a reality. And I've done that many times in the past. So I went to my grandfather's oil, because I lived in Eretz for 5 years. So I went for 4 days in a row, and Be'emet, not miracles. I don't want to talk to them about in public, because they were very, very deep to us, very personal. But miracles that, if we were to say them, everyone would laugh. And they happened. It was a joke, but it happened. So really, Rabotai, it's a big segula that we should all take upon ourselves. One tefillah, 40 days in a row. Another one which I think is very, very powerful and very, very strong, Ana Bekoach. Where it says Ana Bekoach is a tefillah that cuts all klipot for a person. Ana Bekoach, but if one listens to the song of Ana Bekoach, it's something that's incredible. No matter how far, no matter how close you are, if you understand the word, if you don't understand the words, it's like it goes straight to your heart and straight to your neshama. The tefillah of Ana Bekoach for 4 days in a row cleans a person from all his klipot. Tikkun HaKlali, same thing. Rabbi Nachman Breslev holds on to Tikkun HaKlali 40 days in a row. That there are things that in order to clean a person from klipot, like Ana Bekoach, which Ana Bekoach is in Tikkun HaKlali, according to different nuschaim, Ana Bekoach is there. If a person wants to bring upon himself cleaning, he does Ana Bekoach for 40 days in a row. So we see, Rabotai, that in the word 40, there is, and the 40 days, there's actually big significance. Why? Because that request sits in one room for 40 days, and we have 40 days to perfect that request to its highest form. We have 40 days to keep on adding and adding and adding and adding. That when it gets judged, what's going to happen? It will be complete, and our request will go through. And that, Abutai, is something that is amazing that we should all take upon ourselves. Even Ba'ala Musar, even those who put in place Musar, which is what is Musar? Morals, teach that the 40 days is not just to bring a prayer to a completion, to bring a prayer to be heard, but also for habit. What does that mean? If a person has a habit, or a bad deed, or something that he wants to change, whether if it's anger, whether if it's tzitzit, whether if it's one that maybe drinks too much, maybe it's one that is depressed, or Shmirat Abrit, which is so important, in order to break it, the Baalei Musar said, what you need is 40 days. You do 40 days in a row, which is not a long period, and whatever midah, whatever attribute, whatever habit that one has, you could completely destroy it and you could completely break it apart. Why? Because in 40 days, one has the possibility to change a piece of reality. Where one could take a habit and make it no longer a habit. One could take a defect and completely repair it. So truly, Rabotai, 40 days is a goal that we can use within our entire life. Anything bad that we want to change, any request that we want to make, any wish we want to have, Rabotai, 40 is the magic number in order to bring it to a reality. Now before we finish, I also have to warn that there are some things that also cause us to be blocked for 40 days. I think it's important to have a balance and we really see how 40 is truly the number of wishes, the number of requests being heard. It's in Parashat Pikudei, and it's something that we all need to be so careful of, especially today where our heads are so busy with so many things. The Zohar says, one thing that a person needs to be very careful in is to always make sure that he does not mix divrei kodesh and divrei chol together. What does that mean? It means that a person cannot come, sit down, study limud Torah, study like this, then in one moment, turn around and say something bad. Or use that same word that studied kedusha to do a sin, or to do a curse, or to speak chas v'shalom lashon hara, or something like that. The Zohar Kadosh says, when a person mixes kodesh and chol too much together, there are malachi hasharet that get up and they become full of anger on that man. Where they say, how can you take kodesh, take holiness, and degrade it simultaneously in between, with such simplicity? Where it says that the Zohar Kadosh says that those angels pull out a sword and they want to le'erof et rosho shel adam, and they want to, how do you say that in English in a nice way? To decapitate, it's not very nice, but to decapitate a man's head for doing such a thing. But, Baruch Hashem, those angels are not able to do so. But what can they do? So Zohar Kadosh says that once they realize that they actually cannot decapitate a person for doing such deed of speaking of something of Kedusha and speaking of something of Tu'ah, they say if we can't do that, then we're going to pinch him where we do have control. Well, Zohar Kadosh says, what do? They go and they block any prayer that he makes for 40 days. Where it says for a 40-day period, a person can pray and scream and pray and scream and pray and scream, and it's wallow, empty. Why? For one time where a person mixed Kodesh and Chol. And the same thing some Midrashim say regarding Chas v'Shalom, a person spits on somebody. Now, I don't believe that the concept of spitting is just physically. I believe it could also be in a way of degrading somebody, or pulling someone down and embarrassing somebody for no apparent reason. Well, the Zohar Kadosh says if a person spits on somebody, or in my explanation, degrades somebody, the Zohar Kadosh says the same thing. Where those angels, they go and they block Chas v'Shalom, a person's tefillot for 40 days. So we see Abotai that the concept of 40 is actually the concept of gift, the concept of receiving. It's the concept of bringing a new reality to existence. Even the Baal Shem Tov brings many stories where it says, stories, sodot, that are brought in form of a story, where it says if a person wants to receive Ruach HaKodesh, what should he do? He should not talk for 40 days. He doesn't talk for 40 days, he's going to receive Ruach HaKodesh. Now I'm sure that if someone sits in his home, doesn't talk for 40 days and watches Shtuyot, he's not going to receive Ruach HaKodesh. That is obvious. It needs to be with a lot of hard work and a lot of Divrei Kodesh, as well as not talking for 40 days. Then we will receive a Ruach HaKodesh. Or some people don't know how to shut their mouths. So sometimes you have to not talk, suddenly to receive some sort of a prophecy. Sometimes not even in the form of prophecy, but for them it's a prophecy. So we see Abotai the power of 40 days, and we see Abotai the power of one doing a specific mitzvah in order to bring upon himself Shefa. If he does it for 40 days consistently, he changes a piece of the reality, and he could change something in reality in his life. So Bezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the koach and the strength for us, Bezrat Hashem, to keep and take upon ourselves new mitzvot for 40 days at a time. And all that Bezrat Hashem will bring upon ourselves Shefa ad b'liday. Amen. Okay, Rabotai, is there any questions? Ken tzaddiket. Tzaddiket Mechila, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, the Psalm 90.
Ken.
How does a person do that? They say, like, in the merit of Rabbi Moshe Pinto?
Do you know what I say?
What?
Do you know what I say?
I don't know.
So I say, you know, Saba, you made a swear. You can say Saba too. Everyone can say Saba to Rabbi Moshe. Rabbi Moshe says everyone's Saba, Baruch Hashem. I say, Saba, you made a swear, and I'm doing this in your name, and you have to keep it. And the swear that I'm going to do this for 40 days, in your merit, you're going to come down, you're going to make sure this happens. And I realized when we do tefillah, when we demand our tefillah, it's truly bringing in chesed and gvura and creating tiferet. It's mamash like that. Bringing kindness and judgment and creating tiferet, which is more powerful than both of them. How? When a person prays, which tefillah is something that usually when we say tefillah, we think about bowing, about kindness, about one being soft. But when you do it with strength, that's when you bring a big shefa upon a person. And that's what my thought about Ana Bekwach. Because Ana, what is Ana? It's what?
Please.
It's please, but in what form of please is it?
Begging.
It's a beg. Ana is like, when a person says Ana, it's like Ana, it's coming from a low place, begging. But with Ana Bekwach, which is one of our favorite tefillot, we say Ana Bekwach. Begging with strength. That's not begging with from weakness, it's begging with strength. That is the most powerful thing that one can do. Demand for our prayers, demand for our wishes, and we'll see that Kadosh Baruch Hu will bring them back to reality.
Amen.
Rabotay, is there any other question?